Every time John tries to dig into Anna's feelings, she magically interrupts him. She clearly tells John that she enjoys their free relationship and doesn't want to go deep into feelings. But she had no idea that her life was quietly shifting. John's life was on the upswing, but no matter how busy he was, a call from Annie sent him rocketing over to her apartment. He would bring Anna's favorite snacks too, but life is unpredictable. That day, he decided to dispose of a competitor's drugs as usual, but unfortunately, he got caught red-handed, and before John could even react, a heavy punch sent him flying while the guy gave him a warning. Based on Anna's stories about her exes, John quickly figured out this guy had a backstory with Annie. Annie confessed to John under his persistent questioning and began sharing her past love stories. Yet, when they learned about her illness, they always left, and the pain of goodbyes left her feeling hopeless about parting. Annie had stopped hoping, which is why she hesitated to define her relationship with John. John gazed into her eyes and, through a slight tremor, he saw Anna's struggle and made up his mind to cherish this girl. As days passed, the emptiness in John's heart was gradually replaced by emotions he could hardly label. He got used to waiting for Anna's messages and reminiscing about her smile in the quiet of the night. Subtitles. He came to realize that his emotions towards Annie had long since transcended mere momentary joy, becoming something far more profound. "I love hearing your voice," John sincerely expressed, making Anna's heart race, as she knew she couldn't reciprocate. Not wanting to complicate things, Annie quickly hung up. At that moment, even the simplest task of unwrapping was a challenge for her, let alone letting John share her pain. So, as John left, Annie silently bid farewell, her heart in turmoil. "I just simply can't do this." Yet John misinterpreted Anna's words as a joke and breezed out the door. As the door shut, Anna's mind wandered back to that early morning light. She never imagined that the stranger would leave such a profound mark on her life. The next morning, Annie started to prepare for her departure, intending to forget the midnight romance. Just as she was about to get in the car, John came rushing in. Faced with John's repeated questions, Annie answered lightly, not wanting him to notice her struggle. During the days Annie left, John often felt a pang of inexplicable loneliness. On his way to work, he chose not to go home but drove to the station, yearning to see Annie again. He waited at the station all night until dawn broke and Annie slowly got off the bus, exhausted. When she casually glanced at John, his determined gaze made her heart skip a beat. Although she was exhausted, she remained as gentle as she had always been, akin to the sunlight that warms one's heart on a winter day. This made Annie unable to escape her feelings, but this is simply way too dramatic. When Anna's bright gaze gently fell on John, she still couldn't believe she had found love again. As they bonded, their feelings quietly grew like the first sprouts of spring. To preserve these beautiful moments, Annie captured every happy second on her camera. Her presence changed John's life, making him no longer the carefree man he once was. At work, charming women began to cast friendly glances his way. But his heart was fully occupied by Annie, leaving no room for anyone else. John slowly realized that true love wasn't a fleeting spark, but a lasting bond of support and resonance. With Anna's presence, John's worldview began to expand. Subtitles. Customers kept flocking to the door, keeping them extremely busy, and they promptly unveiled the brand new model of sports car. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, yet that night, as John spoke with his family on the phone. However, he might have overstated his sales performance just a little bit. When Annie questioned him, he expected endless teasing, but she just wanted him to list his 4 strengths. This left John stunned since had never been acknowledged before. Annie slowly walked up to his side, and John's heart was filled with emotions he couldn't calm down for quite a while. In that moment, those lonely years were swept away by Anna's fiery gaze. That evening John returned home as usual, albeit carrying the weight of exhaustion. But after just a few words with Annie, he felt a sudden heaviness in his chest. Finally, when Annie handed him a glass of warm water, he slowly opened up about his feelings.